We're on the marine drive and we're going to be targeting some cracker today, using my probably least favorite bait, rotten red bait, because it's very, very difficult to get it off your hands. We found a couple of pods here and they've been in the sun for a few days, so they're properly ripe. Not quite pussy, but they're not the freshest. But this is the best bait that you're going to get during winter for targeting galjoen and mussel cracker and even punskop. So we're going to just have a look around. There's a couple of pods over here. They've all washed up into the grass. This is sort of what they look like once they've been in the sun and they've been washing around for a few days. And we're just going to cut them out and get a few pieces so we can get started. The tide's very high at the moment, and we don't really have an opportunity to get any other bait. This pod doesn't look like it's got anything in it, even though it's got a couple of nipples there. The bait is actually, I don't know, it's been, there's a couple of insects. You get these little sea fleas and they eat the flesh out. Here's another one, yeah, that's also doesn't look too promising. Yeah, there we go, it's got a bit of bait in it. And this is the sort of more pussy stuff that we're looking for, and this is still not even as bad as it gets. I don't actually even want to handle this stuff with my hands because it takes a few days to actually get it off. But we're in the right area here. There's a lot of these little pods that have washed up, and we're going to collect a few. There we go, this one's nice and messy, and when it sort of oozes out and just comes out like pus, that's a good sign. Anyway, I'm going to get a few of these into the bucket before they start going down the... And let me tell you, this stuff smells rank. Anyone that fishes with red bait knows the smell. It's not the smell, I can deal with the smell, it's just getting it off my hands is the problem. So we're going to cut a few of these out, and then we're going to get onto the rocks. There's a nice spot, water's working a bit, it's actually quite a nice day today. The weather's settling, and you don't normally get fish in settling weather, but there is still a bit of working water. There's been a big sea around, we've had a lot of swell, and I'm going to be able to show you where there's a nice cracker spot a little bit later on, and just how to rig up for a galjoen or for a cracker whilst we're out here. This is it's bordering on willows. It's really a good spot. I've caught cracker here before. I actually got a cracker with one of the competitions I was fishing, and it was on sardine, funny enough, not on red bait. But we'll give it a go just now, and then we'll pick up the show when we're on the bricks. I'm just going to get a few more red bait pods, and we'll cut them out and then start the take again. Okay, I've found the perfect one. We've been looking for a really minger, and this is it. You've got a nice little bit of, they're almost septic at this stage, and that's really what you want. Not the greatest when it comes to can't handle the smell really, but that's what you need when you're fishing for galjoen or cracker now over these months. But you've got to have the stomach for it, and unfortunately it's not one of my favorite baits, as I said, but I have to do a presentation on it. So it's really is a good bait though. It's you can't beat it. Alright, let's head off to the rocks and go and see if we can get a galjoen or a cracker. Okay, I've got a piece of 200-pound braid on here instead of a 1mm leader. It goes through the eyes a lot easier, and I'm just going to attach the swivel to that with a normal figure of 8 3 turns. It's a little bit more tricky making a knot with braid than it is with line, because it doesn't play along. And then all you do is you stick the tab end back in so that it actually locks up on the tab end and it doesn't slip when you pull your knot tight. So just pull it tight and cut the tab end off. I'll leave a little bit just in case it does slip, but it's not more than likely not. Got a light 6 a light sinker trace, so if you get stuck, it'll break off nice and easy. And I'm just going to put it on the top end where the braid comes through. Once again, a figure of 8. Wet it, pull it up tight. Just going to use a 6-ounce sinker, and I don't want my trace too long. My sinker trace can be about 35 centimeters long, probably even shorter than that. A lot of cracker fishermen tend to fish a very, very short trace because you're fishing in the bricks. Fish picks up the trace, and when you hook the fish, you don't want to be dragging a sinker through the bricks. That often gets snagged up and you lose the fish. So pull that through. Right, so I'm gonna do this up for a Kalyun. So 16 kg, slightly lighter. You could get picked up by crackers, so I could get smashed up here. But I'm gonna go with a smaller hook. I'm gonna start fishing with about a 2 for Kalyun rather than crackers that I'm setting out to. Just nip that off, and then to get the bait floating, what we're going to do is we're just going to use a couple of little floats. I'm going to use 2 of them just to keep the hook up. If I use one, I'm not going to get the bait out. And then inside those floats, just to stop them from sliding up the line, to keep them just behind the hook, I'm going to stick a toothpick in the back of this one. And just going to break it off, and what that does is it just forms a little stopper, and then once you've got your hook on, you can slide it down to the hook and get it closer to the bait. Okay, I'm gonna use a 2 Berkeley slick set circle. That's what they look like in the shops when you buy them, and they've got a slick set coating which actually helps set the hook. Always going to get caught in the side of the mouth, and they're nice and small, so we'll just pop one of those in. And for Kalyun, you don't want a massive hook. Okay. Alright, so just tighten that up, nip it off, and then we're just going to move the floats just behind the hook. I don't like them sitting on top of the hook, because often what happens is the fish bites onto it and bites onto the float, and you miss it when you try and set the hook. So I'll set them back a little bit. Okay. Now onto the rough part of the presentation. This is what I like least the most. We're going to get knife here, and the best part of the red bait is generally the back part. I don't use the front part, so I'll just get a bit out there. And you also want to make quite a small bait. You know, one of the big problems with guys when they're fishing for Kalyun is they make the bait too big. Yes, a Kalyun will take the bait, but you often miss the fish. So what I've done is I've just cut off these little teats here. The bait is rough, and I've got some cotton on my belt bucket. And then what you're going to do is I'm just going to cut these in half again, so it gives you a nice neat little presentation. And you don't want to cotton the bait on too firm. That's another big mistake that guys make, is they try and cotton the bait on like a rubber ball, and unfortunately when it's in the water, these fish want the bait to look as natural as possible. It must be nice and loose on the hook, and nice and fluffy, and they'll pick it up a lot better like that. And then you can just add a couple of little pieces, loose pieces, that they can just start picking, just get them into a bit of a feeding frenzy. So I'll just hang a couple of loose pieces on that, just covers the hook nicely. When they do come up to it, It's a nice big bait, but once they start pulling these pieces off, they're going to be left with a small piece which they're going to pick up and they're going to try and move off with. Now I've got to find a pool to wash my hands. Got this bucket. If we get any fish, we can put them in the bucket whilst we're handling them if we're going to return them, and they can breathe. Not ideal to wash your hands in the bucket, but I'll get some fresh water in when I get a fish. Okay, so basically what we've got here is a nicely presented bit of red bait and a circle hook buried away in the back end there. And if you look on the other side, we've got a nice bit of working water. And we're going to fish in this channel with the waves coming through there now. There's a nice little reef over there. I'm just going to pop it into that working water where the waves picking up. There's a channel that goes through. We're going to just drop it in there. More than likely get a breaker or a galjoen. Is not going to produce a cracker or a galjoen, but it's a very, very nice sized France Madon, which unfortunately they come very thick in these conditions. This fish has been taken whilst it was actually on my hook. You can see the marks where it's been grabbed by a bigger fish, and you can see the circle hook perfectly in the corner of the mouth. So it just shows how effective these hooks are. Just going to pop this little chap in the water and put another bait on. Now there's been a couple of ways of getting the smell of red bait off your hands, and I've tried pretty much everything from toothpaste to bleach to sunlight, lemon juice, vinegar. But unfortunately, the only way you're going to be able to get the smell of red bait off your hands is by using sand prawn or sand mussel. Because unfortunately, this stuff, as soon as you start putting it onto your hands, the smell starts going in, and that's not pretty. So, a little bit of a septic block going on here. This is exactly what these fish are looking for. So I'll start eating on that. They'll get to the hook and it'll be tight. You can see that utter mess on the box. Very handy to have a pair of scissors on the side here, and I've got this cotton holder. I've tied these on with a bit of fly tying line so it doesn't tangle, and then got this little cotton holder. I've got a little stubby of foam inside the holder which is pushed up against to stop it from rolling too fast. And you can also put a piece of masking tape over the hole so it also stops it from popping back into the hole. I've got a tennis ball that's screwed in here, and that stops my rod from popping out of the bucket when I'm fishing. And then you can have a little holder on the side. I use chill pack from time to time. These are nice and light. You can make them. I've just take a little bead on a piece of Dacron, in there another little bit of bead, another bead into that with a piece of line, and that can just hang off your bait box, off your bait belt, and then you can pop your sinkers and a few traces into this. I have put baits in here from time to time, but not a good idea because often I forget the bait, and not exciting to take it out afterwards. So this is just going to help speed things up, having all these little tools on the side of your rod bucket. I just pull my cotton around and it stays in there, and I'm going to just tie this hook back on quickly.